I was walking down the busy streets of the city, feeling the weight of another exhausting meeting. It had been a long day, dealing with rivals and shipments, but nothing prepared me for what I was about to see. The cold wind cut through my fine Italian black Mafia suit as I reached the corner near a high-end restaurant. Just as I was about to step into my black armored sedan, my eyes caught sight of something, someone, that made my heart stop. A man sat on the freezing pavement, a tattered coat wrapped around his thin frame. His long, tangled hair fell over his face, and he held a small baby wrapped in a dirty blanket. A cardboard sign rested against his knee. "Please help. I have nothing left." I felt the breath leave my lungs. It was him, Julian, the boy I had once loved with everything in me, the boy who had been my entire world before my life took a darker path and tore us apart. But how? How did he end up like this? A rush of emotions flooded me. Anger, sadness, disbelief. My fists clenched at my sides as I took a step closer. Could he even recognize me after all these years? I was no longer the boy from the small town. I had built a criminal empire, climbed to the top of the city's underworld, and now, seeing him like this, it didn't make sense. He looked up just then, his tired eyes locking onto mine, and in that moment, everything froze. His lips parted slightly, but no words came out. Recognition, shock, embarrassment. I saw it all flash across his face. And then he did something that shattered me. He lowered his gaze and turned away, as if he didn't want me to see him like this, as if he wanted to disappear. But I wasn't going to let that happen. I took another step forward, swallowing the lump in my throat. "Julian," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. He stiffened but didn't look up. The baby in his arms shifted slightly, letting out a small whimper. My heart clenched at the sight of the tiny, fragile thing pressed against him. I crouched down, ignoring the stares from passers-by. "What happened to you?" Finally, he lifted his head, his once bright blue eyes now dull and tired. "Go away, Nico," he murmured, his voice barely audible. Hearing my name from his lips after all these years hit me like a punch to the gut. "Not until you tell me what's going on," I insisted. A bitter laugh escaped his lips. "You want to know what happened? Life happened. And it wasn't kind. That answer wasn't enough. I needed more. Julian, talk to me," I urged, my voice laced with something I hadn't felt in years, desperation. He hugged the baby closer, and for the first time, I noticed the fear in his eyes. Not just sadness or exhaustion, fear. "Who did this to you?" I demanded, my jaw tightening. His silence told me everything, and it filled me with rage. "Is it him?" I asked, my voice low and dangerous. "Is it your husband?" He flinched, and that was all the confirmation I needed. I had heard rumors back when we lost touch, whispers that he had married someone, a man who wasn't what he seemed. My blood ran cold. I clenched my fists, trying to control the storm brewing inside me. "Did he do this to you?" I pressed. Tears welled up in his eyes, but he shook his head. "It doesn't matter, Nico. It's over. He's gone, gone." I narrowed my eyes. "What do you mean, gone?" He swallowed hard. "Dead." The word hung between us, thick with unspoken horrors. I studied his face, searching for the truth, but something told me this story was far from over. And whatever had happened to him, whatever had forced him to beg on the streets with his child, I was going to find out. I helped him to his feet before he could argue. "Come with me," I said firmly. He hesitated. "Nico, I can't." "You can," I cut in. "You're not staying out here another second." His body trembled from the cold, and I saw the exhaustion weighing him down. But still, he hesitated. "It's not just about me," he whispered, glancing at the baby in his arms. "I can't risk putting her in danger." I looked at the tiny baby again. My mind raced. If his husband was dead, who was he afraid of? And then the realization hit me like a freight train. "You're not running from the past, are you?" I asked slowly. His silence was deafening. He was running from someone else, someone worse. And now that I had found him, they would come looking. I took his hand, steady and firm. "You're not alone anymore, Julian," I promised. He stared at me, uncertainty warring in his eyes. But this time I wasn't letting go. No matter what it took, no matter who came for him, I would protect him. Even if it meant burning everything down to do it. I led Julian to my car, shielding him and the baby from the harsh city cold. He hesitated before stepping in, his fingers tightening around the baby's fragile frame. "Nico, I shouldn't. You will." My voice left no room for argument. "I'm not letting you freeze out here," he exhaled shakily, his resistance wavering. Finally, he slid into the passenger seat, holding his baby close. I shut the door and walked around to the driver's side, gripping the wheel as I stared ahead. I wasn't sure what I was feeling. Rage, protectiveness, guilt. Maybe all of them at once. The silence in the car was thick. He sat stiffly, watching the city blur past the window. I stole glances at him, my mind racing. He had been my first love, the boy I had planned a future with, and now he was a shadow of the person he once was. I needed answers. "Where have you been all these years?" I asked, my voice calmer now. He looked down, stroking the baby's head. "Nowhere good." That answer wasn't good enough. "Tell me everything," he hesitated. "Why do you care?" My grip on the wheel tightened. "Because I should have been there," he let out a bitter laugh. "You couldn't have stopped it, Nico." "Stop what?" He shook his head. Everything. That wasn't an answer, and we both knew it. But I also knew one thing for sure. Whatever had happened to him, he wasn't telling me the worst of it. And I was going to find out, no matter what it took. We pulled up to my penthouse, and I opened the door for him. "I can't stay here," he murmured. "You can, and you will," he sighed, but didn't fight me this time. Once inside, I handed him one of my warmest blankets. He wrapped it around his trembling frame, his lips slightly blue from the cold. The baby stirred, letting out a small, tired whimper. I watched as Julian gently hushed her, cradling her close. "Julian," I said carefully. "Whose baby is she?" He flinched. I saw his fingers tighten protectively around the child. "Mine," he whispered. I swallowed. His expression darkened. "I thought he was different," he admitted. "I thought he loved me." A sharp pang shot through my chest. I had once thought I would be the one to spend forever with him. "Did he hurt you?" I asked, my voice barely controlled. He bit his lip, staring down at his baby. And then, finally, he said it. "He wasn't who I thought he was." His words were quiet, but the pain behind them was deafening. I leaned forward, my fists clenching. "Did he hit you?" He exhaled, shaking his head. "Not at first." That was all I needed to hear. I got up, pacing the room, my hands in my hair. Rage burned through me, sharper than I had ever felt before. I should have been there. I should have protected him. But the worst part? I knew he was still hiding something. His husband was dead, but he was still afraid, which meant someone else was out there. And I had a sinking feeling I was about to find out exactly who. That night, Julian finally fell asleep, his baby curled up against him. I sat in my office, staring at my phone. Then it buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. A deep voice filled my ear. "You should have left him on the street." My entire body went cold. Before I could say anything, the line went dead. I slowly lowered the phone, my heart pounding. This wasn't over. Someone was still out there, and they weren't done with him yet. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the dim light of my office, my mind racing. Someone was watching, someone who didn't want Julian safe. Morning came too fast. I made a call. Find out everything about his husband and whoever else was in his life. An hour later, I had the information, and it made my blood run cold. His husband had worked for someone, a name I knew well, a man who didn't forgive debts. And now that Julian was alone, they were coming for him. And for the first time in years, I was ready for a war. I stood at the window of my penthouse, staring out at the city skyline. The phone call still echoed in my head. "You should have left him on the street." I had heard threats before, dealt with dangerous men in my line of work, but this was different. This was personal. Behind me, Julian shifted in his sleep, his baby curled up beside him on the couch. The sight of them, so fragile, so exposed, sent a fresh wave of rage through me. I made another call. "Tell me everything about the people his husband was working for," I demanded. A few minutes later, the response came back. The name sent ice through my veins. Rocco Gallo, a man whose reputation was soaked in blood. A man who never let loose ends walk away. And Julian, he was the biggest loose end of them all. Morning light spilled into the penthouse. Julian woke up with a tired sigh, his eyes meeting mine from across the room. He saw the look on my face and instantly knew. "They found me, didn't they?" he whispered. I didn't answer. He let out a shaky breath. It was only a matter of time. I walked over, sitting across from him. "You need to tell me everything, Julian. No more secrets." He hugged the baby tighter, his lips trembling. "My husband, he owed them money," he admitted. "A lot of it. He thought working for them would pay it off. But the more he did, the more they owned him. I could already see where this was going. And when he couldn't pay?" I pressed. His eyes darkened. "They used him. For what?" He swallowed hard. "To move things. Illegal things. Drugs, weapons of money laundering." I already knew. But there was more. I could feel it. And I was right. "One day he messed up," he continued. "He lost something valuable to them. I don't know what, but Rocco." His voice cracked. "He sent people after us." A storm raged inside me. "He hurt you," I stated, barely able to contain my fury. He hesitated, then gave a small nod. "And when my husband died, Rocco told me I had to pay the debt myself." My jaw tightened. "How much?" He let out a bitter laugh. "More than I could ever make in a lifetime." I exhaled sharply. "That's why you were hiding," he nodded. "They let me go for a while. I think they wanted me to get desperate. To beg." I clenched my fists. He had been forced onto the streets. And now they wanted him back. Over my dead body. The next few days, I didn't let Julian or the baby out of my sight. I moved them into my guest suite, upgraded my security, and made sure no one could reach him. But I knew that wouldn't be enough. Rocco wasn't the kind of man who gave up. And he proved it 3 nights later. The first shot shattered my window. I was up in an instant, grabbing Julian and the baby, pushing them into the hallway. "Stay down," I ordered. My men were already moving, securing the perimeter. I turned back just in time to see a shadow retreating from the rooftop across the street. A sniper. They weren't just threatening anymore. They were trying to kill him. I'd been patient. I let them come to me. "Not anymore." I called Rocco myself. He picked up after the first ring.
"Ah, Nico."
"I was wondering when you'd call." I gritted my teeth. "You're making a mistake," he chuckled.
"No, son."
"You are. That man doesn't belong to you. He belongs to me. And I always collect what's mine." I clenched my fist. "Try and take him. See what happens." A pause. Then a dark, amused chuckle. "I'll be seeing you soon." I hung up. I had given him his warning. Now it was my turn to play. That night I set my own trap. I knew Rocco wouldn't come himself. He never got his hands dirty. But his men, they were predictable. I let them think they had found Julian. I made sure one of my security guards let a rumor slip about where I was keeping him. They took the bait. I watched from the security feed as 3 of Rocco's men stormed the building. And within seconds, my men took them down. One alive. That's all I needed. I walked into the basement where they had the survivor tied to a chair. I cracked my knuckles. "You have one chance to tell me everything," he sneered. "You won't kill me?" I leaned in. "You're right. I won't." Then I nodded to one of my men. A blade pressed against his throat. He started talking real fast. What I learned made my blood boil. Rocco didn't just want Julian back. He wanted him dead. And worse, there was someone on the inside feeding him information. A mole. I walked back into my penthouse, my mind racing. Someone close to me had betrayed me, and I would find out who. "Pack your things," I told Julian. His brows furrowed. "What?" "We're leaving." He shook his head. "Nico, we can't just—" "I'm not letting you live in fear," I interrupted. "Not anymore." He searched my face. You're going after him, aren't you? I didn't answer. He grabbed my arm. Nico, don't. He's dangerous. I gave him a slow, dark smile. So am I. I set up the meeting myself. One-on-one. No bodyguards, no weapons. Just Rocco and me. When he arrived, he smirked. Brave of you, I exhaled, feigning boredom. Let's cut the act. You want Julian gone. I want you gone. Let's end this. His smirk widened. And how do you plan to do that? I threw a file onto the table. Evidence. Years of his crimes, his secret deals, everything that could bury him. His face paled. Where did you get this? I leaned forward. You should have never touched him. His jaw clenched. You think this scares me? I smiled.
No.
But the FBI agent outside will. His face dropped. And just like that, his empire crumbled. It was over. Rocco was arrested. His men scattered. And Julian, he was safe. He sat beside me on the rooftop, staring at the city lights. You saved me, he whispered. I looked at him. I'll always save you, he hesitated. What now? I reached for his hand. That's up to you. For the first time in years, he smiled. The past would always haunt us, but now we had a future. And this time, no one would take it from us.